Hi everybody, I hope you are all well. And if you're from in the UK or outside the UK and you're really interested in it, I hope you're enjoying the Jubilee weekend. It's day 3 or 4 of the long weekend. So this week I finished work Wednesday afternoon, and then I've been off and I've been rather busy with this, that, and the other. And I didn't do my review of the book I'm here to review last week either, because last week was the release of Stranger Things Series 4. So obviously my brain completely focused on that rather than reading, and it was awesome. I'm so excited for volume 2 of series 4. I'm kind of scared because I have a feeling that we could lose an important character or something, and I really don't want that to happen, but we'll just have to see. We'll have to wait till July. But yeah, so over the course of the Jubilee weekend, I have been reading the book I am here to review. So I got through, because I've been busy Thursday and Friday with things with my family, I had only gotten through about 100 pages. Oh no, I lie, hang on. Maybe about 140 pages across those 2 days. And this is 300 and I think 60 something. Yeah, 367 pages. So I have sat this morning, I started at page 140, and I have completed this book, and I'm here to talk about it. And the book, as you can see in my hand, is It Ends With Us by Colleen Hoover. I've never read any of her books before, but I know that she's a well-established author, so I felt like, I'm in good hands. This isn't her first book, so let's see how we go. Now, Colleen is known for being more of a female targeted writer, and she's not chick lit, but her books are targeted to a female audience. It's not thriller, it just kind of sits there and sort of in the middle. So I didn't know what to expect from this. I just knew from the blurb on the back when I read it out to you guys at the when I picked it up, when I picked the 5 books I was going to be reading next. And so yeah, I just went into this with no idea what her writing style was like, what it was going to be, where it's going to go, none of that. And to be honest, I think that was really, really good to do. Now, I'm going to say it right here, right now, that this book does contain things which could be triggering for some readers. So what I've decided to do, because I was thinking, how on earth am I going to do this review? Because it's kind of, the triggering stuff comes a bit like a bolt out, from the blue. It's just like, whoa, oh God, wow. So if I say what it is, it's kind of giving it away, if you see what I mean, for people who haven't read the book yet. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start off this review with a spoiler-free, not mentioning the triggering stuff whatsoever, and then once I get to a point where I'm like, okay, this is the point from now on, if you watch, you're going to, in a sense, get some possible spoilers, because I need to talk about the triggering stuff. Not in mass detail, obviously, because, I don't do that in my reviews. I'm very much, I want you guys to read this book, but I have to mention what the triggering thing is in order to then explain how I feel about certain parts of how this book has been written and constructed. So, yes, so I want to just say that straight off the mark, that we have got a trigger warning here for things. But when I get to that point in this review, that is when I will say it, and you have the option to either stop this video. If you do decide to stop, thank you so much for watching the review and everything. And yeah, if you want to stay and hear my further thoughts on those trigger aspects, then please do carry on watching. Okay, so what is this book about? So this book is about a girl called Lily. She's 23 years old, and she's recently moved to Boston, and she's going through a bit of a bad time. She's had to confront some stuff to do with her past, and that gets explained very, very vividly on the very first page of the first chapter of this book. It's like, wow, okay, we're not even just like gently going into this, we're just going to go wham, okay, right. So the fact that you have that straight away kind of told me, okay, so Colleen's a writer where she's not going to bog you down on descriptions of like what's in a room and colours and all this lot. No, she's going to go, right, you're on a balcony, go. Or right, you're in a flower shop, go. Or right, you're in a car, go. She's not wasting time here. And when I think about it, you know, looking back, the fact that you know, she's crammed so much stuff into 367 pages that flow so easily, that takes skill. So yeah, she's a damn good writer, I have to say that. And yeah, so Lily's having a bit of a tough time. She's having a terrible day, and on her terrible day she meets a man who is also having a terrible day, called Ryle, and they just click. There's something about the way that they can so easily talk to each other despite being complete strangers. It's just, there's something that clicks here, and their relationship develops. But soon she gets reunited with someone from her past, a guy called Atlas, and that starts to shift things in her life. And it's about her relationship with Ryle and her life over the next about a year to a year and a half of her life. And that's what this book is about. I can't give any more details because of, as I said, the trigger stuff, which, you know, I will go over later on. But yeah, that's the gist of the story. Now, as I said, I had not come across her writing before, Colleen's writing. Oh, should I actually hold the book the right way up? I hadn't come across Colleen's writings before. I knew her as being a well-established author. I'd seen her books constantly in Waterstones, so it wasn't like she was a brand new author or anything, but particularly this book just went crazy when it was released, and it keeps on in the Facebook book group that I'm a member of, which is what kind of triggered me to look at it. It constantly pops up as going, oh my god, this is amazing. This, Where the Crawdad Sings, and Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo pop up. So 2 out of 3 I agree with. 1, not so much, as you can probably remember from my last review. So yeah, so it was just kind of like, if loads of people are freaking out about this, I better have a look at it. And my sister read it, and our bestie Sarah, hey Sarah if you're watching, she's read it, and they both loved it. And I was like, oh, I'm the last person in the 3 of us who hasn't read it. I'm gonna have to pick this up now. And I'm so glad I did. As I said, Colleen's a well-established author. She knows how to write books. She knows how to construct things. What I adore is her characterization. I mean, like, characters come in and out of Lily's life, and I'm like, oh my god, I totally get it. I totally get it. Like, her friend Alicia, as soon as Alicia walked into the room that she does when she appears, I'm like, oh hell yes, I understood everything about her life. Even before she revealed some stuff to Lily, I just knew that was the answer. I just got it. I was like, she is somebody who everyone should have as a best friend. Just the most wonderful person that you can ever come across, who will be totally and brutally honest with you, even about the darkest things in your life. She tells you the shit that you need to hear. And I loved the fact that Lily had her. And the character, as I said, I knew everything about that woman as soon as she stepped into the first page of the book. of the book that she appeared on. And I was like, oh damn, that takes some skill. Like, there was some characters who popped up for one scene, and I was like, oh, I got them, and I was like, I want to know more about them. I desperately wish they had more time, but I'm like, they are so well structured that even in a short space of time with very little dialogue, totally get them 100%, 1000%. And all of these characters as well, and how she's able to do that, especially with the complexity of a story like this, that takes some fucking skill. And so, Colleen, I applaud you for writing this book. It was sensational. It's a very easy read as well, which, because of stuff that happens, again, stuff that I'm going to mention later on, can be very, very hard to read. It really can. And the fact that she covered things for the amount that she did, that was just perfect amount for us to know she didn't go, I have to give you every single tiny bit of detail of everything that happens. Yeah, we don't need that. And she knows that. So for her to know where to pull back and to know where to slot things in, that takes a lot of skill as well. It's not just, you know, the beautiful like flowing of writing or development of characters and connections and all this lot. A really powerful writer is somebody who knows when enough is enough, and yeah, when to say stop on certain elements, and she did that beautifully. It is one of the bravest novels I've read in a while. It has got some really beautiful, heartbreaking, bold, stunning moments in this book. Like, honestly, you know how sometimes you can pick up a book and you can remember, like, say you're having a conversation with someone, like I am to you now in front of a camera, having a conversation with something about a book that you've read, and you can remember like key moments, but they're just moments that, like, there might be like 3 or 4 or something in the book. Honest to God, every single step of this book has a moment, and I can remember every single one of them. I know it's probably thinking, well, you did read the bulk of it today, so therefore you do remember. But no, this is different. I remember moments linked to emotional states. It's not just a case of, oh, I remember that because the scenery was well written, or I remember that because it was a battle scene or whatever. It's like, no, that stuff, that hits hard. And you honestly have, or at least I certainly had, links to things that had happened in my life of going, I totally, like, there are these journals that's from Lily's life from when she was a teenager that she reads. And I totally understand things that she wrote. As you know, I've known that thing of being a teenage girl and confused about things that are going on in the world, and that. And let's not forget, Lily is only 23 in this book, and there were things that came up with characters, and I was thinking a bit like, ooh, that was an interesting way that Colleen wrote that. That was an interesting word choice. And so it was kind of like red flags going off in my head. And I'm like, but I totally understand why Lily may not see those flags, because I'm reading it as a woman in her mid-30s, not as a 23-year-old girl a woman, but still in a way a girl for her naivety of some things, may not see that. But then there are people who like are in my age in mid-30s who may not see these things as well. Maybe it's just I have more of a red flag warning radar on, I don't know, than other people. Maybe it's because I've read so much. I automatically think, okay, what the hell are you doing? Why would you say that? Are you trying to trick me? I don't know. But yeah, I totally understand the path, the decisions that Lily made from her experiences and such for various things that happened in this book. And I am not kidding when I say I cried, I think, 3 times today at this book. Didn't expect to cry whatsoever. Found myself crying my eyes out, especially the ending. The ending is one of the most beautiful endings of a book I have read recently. I'm like, oh my God, that was unreal. I was like punching the air with joy. I was crying my eyes out. I was just blown away by the way in which this was constructed. At times you're laughing, at times you're crying, at times you're gasping. And it's 367 pages, and it feels like with all the stuff that happens in this book, you'd think it's like 10 times longer because there's so much stuff going on. She is that good at writing and constructing her books, and I'm just like, why haven't I picked up one of your books before? This is insane. And cover designer, oh, you are so good. You are, this is saying so much, this cover. Until you've read the book, it's one of those covers that you don't necessarily understand. Or the title. Oh my God. I thought I could kind of guess what the title meant. I had no fucking clue until I got to the end of this book, and I was like, mind blown. I'm in awe of this. How have I gone all this time without reading this book? This was published in 2016, and my lovely bestie Sarah let me know that in October a sequel is being published called It Starts With Us, which is from the point of view of a character in this book. It's the same, but from their point of view, and that character was my absolute favourite character in this book. I was like, so when Sarah sent me a message saying that, I was going, shut the hell up. No, stop it. That can't be. And then she sent me the picture, and I'm like, and it comes out in October. So yeah, but the fact that, because I've got this in paperback, I'm not going to want a paperback and a hardback. I'm going to have to wait for them both, which means I've got to wait longer for the paperback to come out. But oh my God, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna wait until the paperback, and then I can get them both the same on the shelf. But I'm so excited for that sequel, guys. It's gonna be good. I can just tell. But yeah, it's for the fantastic writing, the great story, the way, the characterization, everything about this book. I just adored it, and I could read it over and over and over again and never get bored. It's incredible. Okay, so that's the spoiler-free version of this review. So if you don't want to know the particular trigger stuff that I'm going to mention, as I said, I'm not going to go into detail because obviously I still want, I don't want to possibly spoil anything for anyone who wants to read or possibly is reading this book at the moment. But in order to talk about some things, I need to mention what the trigger is. And so the actual what the trigger is could be a spoiler. So if you don't want to watch any further, thank you so much for watching so far. And so yeah, or you know, if you're happy to stick around, then please stick around. Okay, I'm starting in 3, 2, 1, now. Okay, so the trigger stuff within this book, that it revolves. I can't get my word right. Around abuse. There are multiple levels of abuse in this, and multiple types of abuse, ranging from verbal to physical. And she doesn't hold back. She is detailed, but only to the degree of what you need to know. So a character has rage issues, which result in various things that happen. What she does is that, because it's written from Lily's point of view, sometimes the abuse is very short and sharp. Sometimes it's longer. But believe me, when it's longer, it often has a moment where Lily blacks out. So it's kind of like the build up, it happens, she blacks out, and then she wakes up, and it's the aftermath of that. So thus there can be some things that happen after she wakes up that is also quite hard to read and to take. So that's what I was referring to earlier on in this review. So I'm not going to be specific about certain things that happen in this book, but I want you to be aware that happens. And I give full respect to Colleen for the way in which she decided to write those elements. It totally, I'm trying to think of the way to say this. When it happens, it's completely logical how it happens. Now, what I mean by that is that with the rage things that happen, sometimes it's out the blue. Sometimes there's a build up, and you can feel the tension building up, and you know at some point it's going to explode. So thus it feels very real in various situations that can happen. Colleen talks about in the back of the book about her experiences with abuse and such, and knowing that, how she was able to write this book is even more impressive. It must have taken a lot for her to write this book, to be able to put that out there, and I can only applaud her for this. But what I also love about the way that she wrote these things is that she talks about there's so much complexity behind when these things happen, that sometimes you can be a good person who does bad things. It doesn't necessarily mean that they are completely and utterly evil to their core. There is a psychological mental illness that could be seriously have a major factor on this, and the way that she explores that in this book, I was really taken aback by. I think she did an amazing thing to write this book, and for people to be able to then recognize perhaps this is happening to them and they don't realize this. She provides various contact telephone numbers and such for organisations that can help as well in the back of this book, which I'm sure readers, some readers may have acted on. And I really hope that if her book was able to get somebody some help, I'm sure she'd be thrilled with that. Because yeah, it's sometimes it's really tough to read, but she knows the limits of going, right, you don't need to have any more detail there, you don't need to go, we don't need to go there, but I need to present you with this in order to understand what's going to happen later down the line. And yeah, it's quite brutal at times, but she's not doing it for the sake of doing it, if you see what I mean. Like she's not having it happening every few pages to the point where it's just like complete overload and you can't carry on. It's very realistic to the points, because of knowing that the character who this relates to, knowing them and knowing their situation, it makes sense what she's done with them. And yeah, I can only applaud her for what she's done with this book. It can be a tough read, and obviously, as I said, for some individuals it could be triggering, and so it's up to you if you read it. But I don't know if perhaps if people have stopped watching my review because they don't want to be spoiled. I hope, because I've mentioned that there is triggering stuff in this book, that they go and possibly look into it to see if it will impact them directly, because obviously people have sensitivities to things such as this, and I wanted to flag it. But yeah, I think she told those things beautifully, and it was brutal, and my God, the ending was so satisfying. After all of the stuff that we went through with Lily, the ending was just amazing. So I'm not going to do a reading because I'm already 27 minutes in, but those are my thoughts on It Ends With Us by Colleen Hoover. So would I read this again? Yes. This is not disappearing off my bookshelf anytime soon. I'm desperate to get the sequel. As I said, it comes out in October, but I have to wait for the paperback so that it'll look lovely on my bookshelf. So there we go. Would I read any more of Colleen's work? Yeah, definitely. I don't know if it's that thing, because I don't really read, I'm going to say it again, chick lit. I've always associated in my mind as Colleen's a chick lit writer, but she's not a chick lit writer. That's the thing. She writes books that are more targeted for women, but this is not chick lit. It's not. So I'm like, maybe I need to have that disassociation in my mind and go, right, Colleen, let's have a look at your other books. And I will very gladly read other books of hers. Would I recommend this to anyone? Yes, I would, but I would say there is some stuff that might be triggering. So just be aware of that. But it's definitely a book that everyone should, if you're able to, have a go at, because it's great. Now, there is a film in the works for this, which I'm excited to hear about. As far as I know, it's only at script level at the moment, and Colleen, the writer of the novel, is very happy with it. But as to when that will be put into development, I don't know. Obviously, COVID had a big impact on the film productions and such. So who knows when we're going to get the film, but if when it happens, I'll be very, very excited. So yeah, so those are my thoughts of It Ends With Us by Colleen Hoover. Have you read this book? Love to know what you think. Leave me a comment in the comments box below. Leave a thumbs up, thumbs down, tell you to the each side. And I've just realised I've gone and left my next read over there across the room, but I know it's the Mad Woman's Ball, so I will be back with my thoughts on that book as soon as I'm done. All right, guys, bye.